What's good? What's good? Hold on one second. I gotta get the stream up in the Discord. Yeah, so today Bitcoin gave really just some fair value gap entries. I've been studying a lot recently, and it seems like this is really the move lately. We're starting to see more and more of these fair value gaps be respected. Now, earlier today, I think this was this morning's price action. Looking back, it seems like there was a 3-minute fair value gap, I think, or I think it was a 2-minute. Yeah, there's a 2-minute fair value gap that seemed to be the entry. Um, Definitely some interesting price action there. I took a couple sells just very light in this area because the stop loss was so wide. I've taken some off of them, but right now where Bitcoin's at, it's moving down. I thought these lows were going to be preserved for NFP. That's what we were talking about the other day, but they've been taken. So again, it's just we're just following along with what we've been looking for the entire week. We came in. Today was So that was right here. So if you followed my bias, every single day we went down, and that's exactly what we said we are going to do on Monday. So we're continuing to draw towards this liquidity and this fair value gap here, and then we also are in a pretty massive order block on the daily. So, as price comes back down into these regions, we'll want to study the lower time frames, or not even really the lower time frames, but just lower than a daily, and look for breaks of structure with displacement. Ideally, a 4-hour internal break of structure here is what I'm looking for. I won't necessarily require that. So my voice is breaking. Hold on, let me unplug my mic. Yo, there we go. I think. There, it should work now. Hold on one second, guys. Can somebody let me know if they can? Okay, I can hear. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck. I had to change the ports. Let me fix it on YouTube too. All right. Somebody in the YouTube comments let me know if you guys can hear me. So my bad about that, and I'll get going. I don't know why I was doing that. I can just actually check because people never want to say anything. Let's see. Yeah, it's working. Okay, cool. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with this mic. It's been acting up. Like the last couple of streams, I've had people say I was robotic, but I did just move, so I don't know if it somehow got broken, which wouldn't make any sense. But I don't know. Anyways, so I am not sure where I left off. That threw me off. I think that we were basically just going over that. You know, we came into the week on the first with the bias that we were going to draw down into this imbalance and into this candle. That's exactly what we've done. Every single day you've seen this accumulation, manipulation, distribution of orders. And when I say that, I don't mean it's, you know, in a bullish sense. You see that, you know, orders push up. And we went over this yesterday, just rating liquidity. That's all we're doing. Or we're filling imbalances. So last night, super good example of an imbalance fill setup that I wanted to go over. I think I started with a 15-minute refine down to a 5-minute here. So we had this whole zone. My price came into it, and then what you want to look for after you've came into this zone, you can wait for the 5-minute. What I like to do is go into. I don't think we went over this last night. No, because it was after the stream. I like to come into a 1 minute. If we've really filled the imbalance all the way, as far as that 15-minute imbalance, we came all the way up in here, and then you got that break of structure with the displacement, and it doesn't have to be swing structure. As you can see, this is internal structure. Um, broke pretty violently. I think at that point I went to a 2 minute. I want to say no, I can't get that on a 1 minute. Not sure where this is from, but imbalance is pretty clear there. Price came, or no, hold on. I think it might have been a 3 minute because there was another time frame that I used for this specific setup. Okay, I have to rewind it because it keeps going back. The break of structure was here, and then maybe I was just marking these candles actually because I jotted this down because it gives a bigger zone. Um, Now, what you can do, you could have just been very reserved and said, okay, well, I'm not, I'm waiting for this. Um, what I like to do is, you can span through the time frames, like go up to like a 5 minute. If you want to find an imbalance, if there's something that's like this where it's really, up here and small. Now you can wait for it. There's nothing wrong with it. You can also just use a supply and demand entry because, again, whenever we're looking at these imbalances being created, we're using the imbalances to uh, I guess confirm I should say these zones or these larger time frame imbalances. And anytime we're looking for imbalance entry, we require what? A break of structure right there. So anytime we have a break of structure, we know that what is introduced, supply or demand. And we can use this entire little buy to sell zone. You can, I know what I was fucking marking. It was this breaker block on a different, I remember now, it was this 1 minute breaker block. That's what it was. But it just had dragged over. I was wondering, I was like, why is this? Um, Now, whenever you're using breaker blocks, a lot of times it's nearly instant. So, for instance, price came down, last time wicked this, and then bounced up immediately. Now, if there's a fair value gap like this, oftentimes, on this last, let me just delete these drawings because they're all over the place. Um, on this last push up, we have a liquidation, right? You call it, I think with Wyckoff, it'd be like preliminary supply, up thrust after distribution on like, like a seconds time frame. But really, I just try to get the nitty gritty stuff out, like what's important. And you up, and then another break of structure to the upside. What that is just a liquidity raid. Just like we play liquidity raids and we use breaks of structure to confirm those. If we're in a high time frame, price is doing this, making equal highs, price comes up, then you look on the low time frames for a break of structure. We're going to do the same thing, the same concept, I should say, here. When price comes up, it raids liquidity, then moves down at displacement. So something had to send us up to raid this liquidity. There was one final little push of orders that are pumped into the market. And usually on a lower time frame, this is done by algorithms. We see right here we have that breaker block. We talked a little bit about what a breaker block is on a stream, I think, last week. But just to kind of sum it up, really, whenever you're looking at price action and you have this last little move up before you confirm a liquidity raid, you're going to have, just like we were saying before, anytime that we have a break of structure to the downside, and you can, instead of using the fair value gap entry, let's say a fair value gap like this, right? This is fair value gap. Hopefully this isn't confusing you guys. I'm trying to, so let's just say price comes up, right? We break up and then we push to the downside, and that's really your, your break of structure with displacement. So there's a couple of different ways you can enter it. You could say I'm going to enter off the fair value gap, right? So whenever price, kind of comes back up into this gap, you could just set a limit here, stop loss here. That's one way to do it, right? Price can then, it might react very violently from that area. Sometimes you might notice it's going up in here and then coming down. Now, if it goes up higher than the fair value gap, usually that means that there is some form of supply up above that had to be mitigated. There's a high value institutional area where there are a lot of orders left. So whenever there's orders, just think of that as a magnet to price, right? So anytime there's and they when institutional orders. So if there's a lot of orders up in this zone, price is going to be gravitated towards it. So, sometimes that fair value gap entry might not be, the snipe to where it just comes down from right there. It might, get a reaction, push back up, and everybody's like, oh no, I took a bad trade. And this is where, people that aren't disciplined or not confident, they just cut the trade right there and then watch it go down without them. And then usually chase it down here, get hurt. This is my voice is breaking again. Jesus Christ. Um, I don't even know what to do. Let me mess with my mic, I guess. 'Cause my connection should be fine. I'm on Ethernet. Is my voice breaking for people in the Discord, or is it just the stream on YouTube? It's not the Wi-Fi though. It shouldn't be. Let's see what my speed test is. It's thundering outside, but I have I actually plugged in the Ethernet because I was sick and tired of fucking um, having issues. Sometimes I noticed it. Oh, so it's okay now. I was about to say, dude. Like, holy shit. The upload speed is what matters, but okay, cool. Never mind then. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know why it's being inconsistent. I've done everything I can do. Could be just there's a storm going on, but anyways, um, in the zone above, you know, that's where price is going to deflect from. Now, as traders, we are retail traders. Don't forget that we're not the institutions. We don't know exactly, whether the orders are here, whether the orders are here, or the third scenario, is breaker blocks. So what a breaker block is, delete all this, is the last bullish order block before a buy side raid, or the last bearish order block before a sell side raid. So for instance, buy side liquidity is buy stops, it's highs. So if we have last bullish order block, right, let's say this is our order block right here before our push to the upside. A lot of people see that as like a buying opportunity, but we're always trading in the context of something else. So, in this example, we know that we're in a higher time frame imbalance, right? Which is this over here. It's our fair value gap. So, this is the low time view of this. So we're just looking for our trigger, right? Because just because um, the uh, let's just a break of structure in the low time frames. We're anticipating reversal here. Now, somebody who's not aware, so I said, "Guy, is it doing it again?" I don't know. But once something gives us a bias to look for a reversal, and then we see price break above this level, we're not looking at that as a break of structure in a bullish way. We're looking at that as a liquidity rate. We wait to get that displacement to the downside, that really big push to confirm that. But once we get that, we look at this right here, this last bullish order block, we look at that as a breaker block, because that breaker block is what sent us back up to take these buy stops. So the institutions, caused one last little sell off, that's why it's a down candle. And after that, they pump buy orders into the market to take out these sell stops. So when price comes back down here, those orders are going to get mitigated as well. So just to recap, on these liquidity rate setups, you have three options. You got a breaker block, right? You've got your fair value gap. That's going to be wherever, it could be, ideally you want it to be in a premium, or, for the people that are strictly supply and demand, you've got your supply. Now, the main point that I'm trying to get across here is that if you're doing things right, and you have your bias correct, any three of these, if you use, let's just say they're not all three going to hit every single time, right? But the moral of the story here is you need to pick one of these entries and use it all the time. But the key is to have your bias correct. If your bias is correct, and in this higher time frame fair value gap is indeed the where a lot of institutional orders are residing, that you want in that zone. So once you get that, you need to just execute. Each time you need to all of them. You can see, for instance, a little flip zone, like as price comes down. Maybe it's not this picture perfect. Let me get a new example. You'll see a price comes down, catches some demand, then breaks down, and you get that. I guess you'll see it as a head and shoulders. But what's really going on here is the exchange. Wrong thing. The exchange between supply and demand, and supply is taking control. So, let's just say in this candle, or in this situation, not this candle. Sorry, my focus is fucked up. It's like thunderstorming. My mic's all fucked up. But let's say in this instance, we're in our higher time frame fair value gap, where we've had our low time frame liquid right there, and now we have the break of structure to the downside with displacement. All right. So we might have, in this instance, you have your, what you see as a breaker right here. You also have what people see as a supply and demand flip zone. And then you also have a fair value gap all in the same area. Those setups are really nice because they give you a, it's even more confluence in this one little area. But it's not always like that. These are the ideal setups. But I've had a lot of questions on Twitter, and people have been DMing me on Discord about, because they've noticed I'm using imbalances more recently, but and how they can work with supply and demand, and people say like, which one's better? Not, it's not that either of them are better. What it really comes down to, and when you will notice that you're consistent and confident, is when you develop a genuine understanding of what's going on. Not just, people get so um, robotic almost with it. I've used this example before, but it's like you don't learn a book on how to swim and then go out and swim. Right? Now I get it. You have to learn things about trading a little differently than, swimming. Obviously, you do read about it. You do look at examples. You do learn that way. So I get it. You're probably like, oh, well, how do it's not like you just go out and trade and just figure out how to do it. I'm not saying that. But my point is, once you understand, or once you learn the concepts and learn the entry models, don't just look at them, like a chart. Look at it like, you're using this chart to perceive what's happening, right? And then people always ask, um you know oh, well, because I've had doubters of smart money. They say, yeah, come on, what is it? There's some guy that's doing all of this. No, absolutely not. It's algorithms, right? And it's just how the market works. It's how this number over here you see, it's how that gets on your screen, and why it's that number. That's it. It's just you're learning to truly see the exchange of orders in a market. And at the end of the day, we're just trying to track institutional orders. So, we're going to look for displacement. How do we find displacement? Fair value gaps. That's why I've always told people to use order blocks that, have a fair value gap in front of them. Because then we know that, in that specific order block, there was institutional involvement. If you have, prices doing this, and it dumps down, and then you have, like two little breaks of structure, everybody wants to short this order block and this order block. And what happens? Price comes up, gives them their entry model, takes them out. Comes up to the next one, they try to short it again. Gives them their entry model, takes them out. And it's because they're not understanding that you need to be on the side where smart money entered the market, right? And that happens all the time to people. That's another huge thing. We kind of touched on it yesterday about just choosing the right supply zones. So in this example, somebody who used the whole buy to sell range now, or yeah, buy to sell. Sorry, I always I always like I'll accidentally say shit backwards. Like I'll call it discount premium, and I don't want to confuse anybody. This is a buy to sell supply range. If you use the whole range, you got tabbed in right there. Or let's say you used or actually, I'm sorry, you got tacked in right here on that. I know it doesn't look like it, but what happened here is price broke right there and wick back up into this candle immediately. If you used a fair value gap here, you got left behind, which is okay. A lot of people are gonna be like, how's that okay? You missed out on money. But at the end of the day, I think it came up close to it. Let's see, but it didn't. Yeah, it was about as close as it got. Um, but in this example, it seems like the supply entry or the breaker block entry right here, those two worked in this scenario, and in a somebody who just trades a fair value gap, you kind of got left behind. Now I guess here's another entry model you can use, which I don't really encourage unless you're really on the ball with it. If it's very tight price action like this, let's just say you get a change it, you get that break of structure displacement. Sometimes you can just market enter, right? I do that. I won't, I'm not going to sit here and hold you. If it's something like this where the risk to reward's still good, if I'm getting a 0.2% stop on Bitcoin, I'll take that, right? And this really depends on where your target is. In this instance, your target's going to be down here, right, down on these areas, and obviously you're going to trim before then. You're going to be taking off some at these lows right here, which had already hit that target. You're going to take some off at these lows right here. Not sure if this entry would have gotten. I think it gets stopped at break even because I was in something similar to this. I don't think I caught it that exact entry, but yeah, this was what happened to me. I got break even right there, and then it dumped through the entire night, which is fine. You know what I mean? But point moral of the story is that there's not one correct entry model, and there's not one that's better than others. Maybe for your asset, and this is where you have to put that homework in, dude, because I'd say like not even well, I don't even know what percent, but nobody back tests, right? A lot of people you know they think that that's stupid, or you'll rationalize why you shouldn't do it. I wish I did it more than I do. I make sure I sit down every week though and I do it, right? And you don't have to, you know I'm not saying you have to back test the 5-minute chart on Bitcoin as far as back as TradingView will let you. I mean, you could, but the point is just kind of get a feel for your asset. And I encourage people to do it like this. Um, don't just do, you know, hindsight, because everybody's got 2020 in hindsight. The best way to do it would be to like take this, throw it in some random area, and then, do it from there. And, do your TA and see if it unfolds. Now, nothing's going to replace, trading in a live market, but this can help you immensely if you're having, maybe you're testing out a new model, maybe you just learned fair value gaps. I actually have a infographic on fair value gaps and imbalances that I'm going to post up later tonight. Having trouble getting all the data. Here, I'll give you guys a little sneak peek. Yes, I was trying to get all the data into it. It's kind of smaller, but I think it'll get the job done. But yeah, that was one thing I just kind of wanted to review is the different types of entries you can use during these imbalances, because all we're doing is confirming that there was indeed institutional orders in these zones. Once price comes, it's just like a POI. It's a different type of confirmation though. Now, I encourage requiring displacement in your in your supply and demand confirmation entry models. I think what it does is it takes out a lot of crappy trades, and it'll it gets you in tune with, understanding you want to see unquestionable movement from your zones, because if not, you rationalize. Like, let's just say, you've got your zone. Here's your entry zone. Price comes into it and it breaks structure like this. You're just dying to get an entry, so you just jump on that entry and it just takes you out. You become liquidity right there, and then you start to see that expansion. That shows you that there is a big player involved. That's a key, especially whenever you're using these fair value gap entries, because we're trying to identify where institutional orders are. That's that. At the end of the day, that's all we're doing. So um I wanted to look at euro dollar.
Casper, I love you.
That was that fucking Glacier. Yeah, that was Glacier. Um, fucking shit. Yeah, but like with I was using this to make the fucking infographic. So like, here's a good example. So we had, and this is the 1 hour chart. You can use this strategy on really any chart or any time frame, whatever. We took a lot of buy stops here, right? Everybody was like, oh, euro dollar's breaking out. They broke all these highs. And once that happens, we know that a lot of buy side liquidity is being offered. Now, whether smart money sells to those buyers or not, we don't know until we get our confirmation. How do we get our confirmation? Break a structure with displacement. So, we can say that, it's likely that smart money, sold to these buyers here. All right, we definitely sold off. So now once price retraces up into this impulse move, right, I'd say the original impulse move. I'm not going to mark it all the way down. I just want the impulse. Like, I want to see, until right here, the sell side was being offered, right? Once price started to move up. That's when things were kind of consolidating. We had one last flush out, whatever. But we see that this isn't a premium, right? You could probably actually do OTE on some of these. I don't really use OTE that much, but look at that. It's right on the 705. Um, and really, you're just using these numbers. People can say it's phenomena, people say whatever, but really what it comes down to is it's just a way. It's how the algorithms work. It's why it's not just some fucking coincidence, or like some kind of crazy uh, thing. But now, what we're looking, and again, this is going, um, you know, that we, going with the daily. If we want to take out these lows, right? That's what this would be. That narrative would be going to. Now, I will say euro dollar is like really fucking weird. Like, I haven't been trading it that much just because this right here is like, it's very indecisive. It looks like when price takes these highs, it looks like price wants the lows, so forth, so forth. But now once we come back up into that 1 hour POI, usually I would use a 5 minute
Ooh,
break of structure. What's up, JL? I would
you're looking
use
at the
a
same fair value gap as I am
oh yeah, hell
on
yeah.
the 4 hour, right?
I think it's a 1 hour. There's probably one on the
Oh,
4 hour too, though. Yeah, it's like,
yeah, it
it's
is on the
actually
4.
actually it is about the same, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was looking for possible pullback shorts here.
yeah, for sure. Like, when
I
I was,
think we continue higher, but we could get like a nice reaction here.
yeah, overall, I want us to come back down. I don't know. This daily candle is sus because if we wouldn't have had this candle right here, I wanted these lows and this imbalance down here on the daily, but yeah, that's wishful thinking at this point. We'll see. But it seems like price came down off this imbalance, came and took the highs, and then that reaction from these highs, that's what kind of made me, you know, look for the sell side. But pretty harsh move back up here. We didn't, we kind of left a little imbalance. It really depends how this next daily candle closes. But if usually if this was like during session, like if this was like our kill zone, I would have probably already taken a sell here. But well, actually, there wasn't really any displacement here with this break of structure. Actually, I'd still be on the sidelines because
You
there
have to.
is. Go ahead. My bad.
Oh no, I was gonna say, if it's like an unhealthy move up, then we're just building cause for us to distribute higher and come back down.
Yeah.
If it's like not a healthy move to the upside.
No, 100%. Usually I will say though on the daily, whenever I get closes like this right here, usually it tells me price is drawing up to something, which could be that 4-hour fair value gap. But we do also have this massive daily imbalance up here that we've barely tapped into. I'm not really interested in that too much as of yet, but if we get above this high and don't just immediately sell off or don't sell off from this fair value gap, I'll be looking for us to come up higher. Um, but yeah, if it, we're not really seeing any kind of displacement with our breaks of structure. Like yes, they're large down candles, but there's no fair value gaps. Price immediately comes back up and fills those orders, and we don't see any kind of impulsive reaction. So like, for instance, we would have wanted this candle right here to go down and leave a gap between these two candles. And when the price came to that gap, you'd want to see a move away from it, which we're not seeing. So what I want to wait for, I just marked this 15-minute low down here, and this could change. Um, Ideally, this probably won't happen during Asia. I mean, it could. I probably won't trade it if it does, but we also have NFP tomorrow. So expect heavy, heavy, heavy volatility on literally everything,
Oh
especially
yeah, I saw
pairs.
that on CAD and USD.
What is oh, you just NFP in general? Yeah. It's gonna be
No, no,
fucked.
no. What's NFP?
NFP non-farm payroll. It's first Friday of every month.
Oh,
I don't think you can trade it. Or you have a
oh.
swing. You have a
No,
swing.
I have a swing. I can trade
I
anything,
was gonna
but we
say,
have
yeah.
a lot of major news coming out tomorrow.
Yeah. It's the first Friday of every month.
Unemployment for USD and CAD
Yeah,
at
that's NFP.
8, I think.
Well,
Oh, okay, yeah.
non-farm payroll is different. It's the amount of jobs that aren't but they do unemployment and all that stuff on the same day. Yeah, it'll be
Oh, so that's every Friday?
no, every first Friday of the month.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So like let's look back on like the first Friday last month was it was the 1st of July. Just gonna make a 4-hour chart. Fuck, I should have been watching GU. That shit's would have gave nice sells. But what was it? July 1st. It was a pretty crazy day right here. It's like immediate swing structure mitigation in like literally the same day. Massive sells. I'm gonna look at DXY. Um, Really, this is gonna be a big decisional point for me. Like we left this newly introduced demand zone right at the imbalance. It looks like the mean threshold is right at the imbalance as well. So depending on how if we see the lower time frames here start to break to the upside on DXY, especially during NFP, like fucking GG for anything with USD at the end of it. Um, I still think the overall target for DXY is going to be up to like 109 to 110, 109.77 to 110.26. That's that weekly fair value gap we've been talking about. Also, equilibrium of the monthly price delivery range is 109.806. But it's gonna be interesting. Everything, all this stuff's not a coincidence in my opinion. We've got the dollar at a daily imbalance. We've got um, Bitcoin coming into its drawing, or drawing to this liquidity down below. We've got SPY coming up into this daily supply, really getting close to this buy side liquidity. We've got NOS getting really close to the equal high. I mean, it's all this stuff. It does not just randomly happen on the same day right before major news. And that's why I tell people, because a lot of people will say, don't trade news. And while I don't think you should just like for instance, don't just open a shitload of positions before, with stop losses close by before a major news event. That's just asking to get, wrecked. Now, if you're in a position already that's in profit, deep risk, you feel free to hold it, whatever. It's really up to you. But as far as trading during the day of the news, that's always what you want to. You want to just wait for the massive lick rates, right? It's like we saw with FOMC with the Bitcoin trade we took last week, right? We took it the day before, and again, that's a great example of price action. It tells the story on the chart before you see it in the news. So indices tomorrow, I'm damn near ready to just see Nas take out all these highs right here. I mean, it's there for me. We've got fair value gap above as well. I mean, it's pretty clear target for me. It's up here in this 13,550 to 13,800 range. So I will be watching this tomorrow morning. I think NFP is at 8 a.m., right? Or is it 8? Let's see. Hold on. 8:30. So it'll be before equity open. I think we'll have some good opportunity. I'll be watching NOS and uh, Euro dollar and Bitcoin tomorrow. That's going to be where most of my attention will hold. But ideally, what we'd look for is if we have this daily imbalance here, right there, we just formed. It would be nice to see price kind of trade back down into that. Um, Also, it's weird. It happened right at the base of this daily order block. But a 4 hour, we've got an imbalance there as well. We could look for price to kind of consolidate through the Asian session in London, then give us some nice sell side liquidity to raid into this imbalance, and then possibly look for a move back up into our drawn liquidity. Bitcoin for me, I'm still looking for some more downside. We're getting into the potential reversal zone, though. I mean, really, there's nothing for me that says we have to go down and fill this entire imbalance because we have this order block right here. I think JL, you were talking about this too, weren't you? There's an
Huh?
order block. You were looking at an order block on a different time frame, I think. You were looking at this 4 hour one.
Just everything's on the 1 hour.
1 hour. That's what you were looking.
Y-
Yeah. I
Yeah,
see it right here. Yeah. The day.
because like
See.
ICT would define that as an order block.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, really, like if you look at the daily too. Look at the massive order block right here.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like just different. It's just fractal price.
Whoa, I
But
think the 50% of the daily also lines up with the 50% of the fair value gap.
watch. Well, it's just I swear, bro. Like people like, and then people will try to tell you that like algorithms aren't trading. Yeah, look at that kind of shit. Like what, bro? And then it's also probably lining up with here. I gotta get this OTE shit. Hold on. Too many lines. That's actually not marking up with the. I was hoping it would mark up to here. That'd even be more satisfying. I really no need, but I still just I'm fascinated by stuff like that. But I'm still seeing this imbalance as our draw on liquidity. Yes, we're in this order block. So for me, this whole zone here. I'm watching for breaks of structure to the upside with displacement, but um, I wouldn't be upset if we came back down to like 21 350 around this area. That'd be nice. Now I'm not requiring that, but that would be the Bitcoin thing to do. What I wouldn't even be surprised is if Bitcoin kind of moved down, made one last little push up, hit an imbalance, then push down. It's just max pain with Bitcoin. And tomorrow with NFP, um, you know, we're gonna see a lot of volatility. Like I mean, here, for instance, let's just say this internal structure here is absolutely fucked. Let's say this probably right here. I mean, really, for me to want to see a lot of interest in Bitcoin, I'd probably want to break above all these highs right here and hold with displacement. All this right here, probably these specifically. But yeah, I think that it's going to be nice to see, and that's the good thing about these big news events because you'll see what liquidity is rated. Now, if you have an overall bullish narrative, ideally you want to see a flush on these news days because it's going to raid the sell side liquidity and give you your entry model for longs. Right now, if you're bearish, you might look for a buy side raid and see a pump with news. And there are times where, like FOMC days or the interest rate days, a lot of times those days they just, like we saw last week, it was a pump from that morning until now, till like yesterday or the day before. Um, what is this in the Discord? Hold on. Oh, these forex groups. Yeah, there's some legit cults out there, dude, for trading. me check and see. Is my mic wireless? It's actually not. You'd fucking think it would. It's a HyperX. I want to get a mic, like an actual desk microphone. I need to go. I was gonna go to Best Buy and get some stuff for this new office I have, because now the room I have at this new house is way bigger than the last one. So I wanted to get a desk mic and then some other stuff as well. I'm probably gonna get a camera and then start the Only Charts account. You know, get the streamer camera. What is USD CAD doing? This shit, we fucking ate off this on FOMC day. It's still looking good, in my opinion. I think tomorrow's gonna give us even more bias. We got this little 3 drive going on here. Probably looks better on like a 1 hour right there. I actually like this a lot. I'm gonna set an alarm for this. I realize I even had cap lock on. So ideally, whenever I see these imbalances, especially before these news days under lows, what I look for is price to come back down to these areas, with the news, right, or with whatever kind of raid we get. Overall, for me, we just took out this low right here. We filled any, this imbalance that was left. So now we've got, these highs right here, this daily imbalance right here. This is where I think price is starting to draw towards, is up in this region. So if we get one last little flush out, get in towards the low of the daily candle and ride it out through the day, that would be nice. I'm going to keep this on watch as well. So I'm gonna mark everything. So I'm like the worst about forgetting setups. Like I'll literally, that's why I don't watch too many. As far as for like intraday stuff, swing stuff I won't forget. But another one that's fun to play on NFP day is gold. So we came up into this weekly imbalance here that I was looking for, and we've been talking about this for a while as well. Hold on, somebody just added me, I think. For whatever reason, my computer doesn't pop up. Oh, that's my boy messaged me. Yeah, we came up into this weekly imbalance like we've been saying. I could see a reversal for gold soon. It kind of has a mind of its own. This is like the most manipulated shit ever. I mean, these lows, if these don't get taken out, I'm just kind of like, like what? But this daily imbalance up here seems like we could be drawing towards it. I'm gonna go ahead and draw a line. Just put weekly rebalanced, so I remember. So now we've got the books for a lot of these major. So JP Morgan, probably that's who got fined for manipulating metals. But a lot of these major orders are getting filled. What I'm going to look for now, it looks like we're pushing up to this level. I'm not really looking to catch longs. For me, I want to start to catch the sells whenever they start, but I try not to pay too much attention to gold, because I think you end up watching it and then just like it takes up a lot of time, and then it just goes without you, like it did on an FOMC day. But this would be the area for me. Maybe some 4-hour supply zones over here. We've got this institutional candle here. It's a little buy to sell range. I'll mark that up. I like all this up here. I'm going to set an alert for this. If we push up into this region tomorrow and start to see the low time frames break down with displacement, I'll look to stake some sells, because you've got so much liquidity building up down here. It's unreal. All that sell side liquidity right there under all these lows. Plus, you've got the daily imbalance down here. We've got an order block, and then I think this is an old level. Um, yeah, you've got a ton of liquidity just building up to the downside. And the overall daily swing structure is still pretty bearish. I mean, it depends how you draw it, I guess, but I'm looking at it from an institutional standpoint. And this to me just looks, the displacement down to these levels was clear. So I know there's going to be orders remaining up here. Can I check BNB? Yeah. 1 second. So I don't know why I've seen like multiple people talking about BNB today. That's been fucking flying. Let me just get a clean chart. Oops, not indicators. Didn't do that. It might be pulling up here. I wouldn't call this a draw on liquidity just yet. I want to see how this weekly candle closes because we did just come up and rebalance the weekly chart right there. So let's drop down to a daily. Yeah, I think these highs look pretty appealing. Up at 337, they're equal highs in the daily. I'll just mark them as equal high. That as of right now looks pretty appealing. You could also look at this up here, but I mean, really, the liquidity resides up here, in my opinion. Um, I don't know. I'm just gonna put sell side or buy side. Sorry. I try to pay attention. Like, yes, there's liquidity under all these. There's liquidity everywhere, right? We can continue on about that, but to me, I just want to look at the major areas, right? There's a lot of people. There's a lot of stop losses there. There's this should if we are bearish, even smart money can get that's people think that liquidity raids are coming for like our stops only. They're going for really dumb money, but financial money, or I mean institutional money, not financial money. I was going to say financial institutions, but they're going for larger money, and they're trying to liquidate those larger players, right? Because yes, our liquidity is liquidity, but it's not whenever you have these massive players. They're looking to take out those big players. Rebalancing means just filling a fair value gap. So, for instance, whenever price pushes to the downside really hard, we leave all these gaps. And what's happening here is the market's only offering the sell side. So, there's an inefficiency of supply and demand so great that price is just expanding down as hard as it can to where there's going to be a balance. So, there's going to be liquidity down here, which will allow price to consolidate. So, what happens is, when the algorithms are pushing price down to these areas and creating that inefficiency between supply and demand, they're putting in a ton of orders just like this. So let's just say, a lot of these orders didn't get filled. So there's orders residing in these imbalances. That's why you see reactions to these imbalances, right? So like when we come up into them, you see price kind of push down, but then we have other imbalances. Price pushes up, and we're at that point we're going for highs. And that's the difference between, kind of like the dumb smart money. I don't want to call it dumb, like simple smart money, which I hate saying dumb. I'm just trying to use a term because I mean, don't get me wrong, obviously I use market structure, but like for instance, if you look at things from an institutional standpoint, you're not looking at daily swing structure. You're looking at where do they need to push, their push price to rebalance their books, right? Because if they still have orders all the way up here, or they have areas they need to mitigate, then they're going to push price to that area. They're not looking at like oh, the daily's bullish or bearish, let's short. They're creating that structure in the process of pushing price to where they needed to go. This is a really good area. I think this 337 at 350 was a nice area for BNB. So that being said, you've got your breakup right there on the 4 hour. I like this candle right here. I mean, I don't know if we'll even come back down to it. We'll see, but um, I'll set an alert for it. No, wrong thing. So we can refine it, I guess. Actually, I still like that candle right there. So, really what we're looking for, what I'm looking for, this trend line here could get liquidated. There's a lot of buyers coming into the market. Um, so I could see, these imbalances down below still need to be filled. While that is quite a distance away, it's a pretty big dump from where we're at right now. It's like a 10% move. So, who knows? We might not see it. Price might be pushing up to these orders, these sell orders up here, or stop orders, I should say. Also, somebody said, "Hi, is your Discord public? How do I find it?" There's a public section, but the part where we share trade ideas is private. If you look at the banner on the bottom of the screen, it'll have the link. It's playbit.info. Um, for my order block, do I use the green consecutive candle before the introduction of supply? Um, so yeah, well, I mean, yes. Okay, so I see what you're saying. So, for instance, like, let me find something like right here. Um, damn, these people got cucked. They waited for that, but yeah. In this example, this would be the order block or supply zone, however whatever you want to call it. You can continuously refine it down. Um, damn, people got. This is the kind of shit that crypto does. That's that sucks. And I would have watched that. I would have waited for this too. But anyways, yeah. So I would wait and really just choose the last candle before displacement. And again, displacement is so fucking paramount to picking the right areas. How significant is the zone that you're trying to trade off of? You can identify that by what kind of break of structure did it cause. Was it the reversal? Was it a part of a lick raid? And how much did the market move from that zone? So you're kind of just you're evaluating the value of it. Also, or not somebody, you said when using the fair value gap, is it when we have a displacement or any time? Um, I mean, that is what displacement is. Well, you can have small fair value gaps that I wouldn't consider displacement. Like for instance, let's see if we can find one. They do occur. Oftentimes with crypto, it's not that okay. Like for instance, oh no, it's still this isn't even a fair value gap. I don't think. No. I'm trying to find an example for you. Like, I think you get what I'm saying, but like if you just have like a tiny fair value gap where you know price there's a tiny little gap here, something like that, and then there's not a big move after it. I don't really consider that displacement, but I'm not sure what you're asking, to be honest. If you're using a fair value gap for entry, you're going to use displacement breaks of structure in the fair value gap to confirm the fair value gap. And you're welcome, Dr. Coco. I hope that helps, Adeliki. Somebody said, "Can I explain what rebalance?" Oh, somebody asked it on. I think. Oh yeah, it's you. You asked on both. Yeah, Gav from Discord. I was like, wait, isn't that the same person? I got added again. I don't know if it was in. I'm trying to see if there's a question. I think that was it. BNB is looking good though. Sum that up. I like it. You see how Bitcoin is like kind of like compressing, like moseying into this zone. It's not like, moving into a displacement, like once we do move into it, that's what you want to see. But like notice how, orders are accumulating, right? They're starting to induce that false narrative for retail to think this is support. And what happens when you see that is, once retail gets stopped out, that sounds, this may sound counterintuitive, but that's what you want to see for a bullish narrative. You want to see smart money stopping retail longs out to absorb them, you know. Um, this is a great example of redistribution right here. We had that accumulation, that three drive, right? You see these three liquidity raids, one, two, or actually the first one is a liquidity raid. We swept down in here, kind of pushed back up, took the lows, pushed back up, took the lows. Then this one you see we got that break of structure, pushed down into that newly introduced demand, and then came up, but it quickly sold off because we were just mitigating orders with that fair value gap or rebalancing. Now here in this example, it seems like we came into this daily order block, this daily fair value gap. You're looking. This is the reason we call it a POI. It's this whole zone, right? If you get your trigger in this area, then you look for longs. Right? My trigger is I want to see a massive break of structure, especially since we're kind of at a premium of the zone. If I were to look to enter just off this, I personally would want a break above these highs right here with displacement. And then I would look for entries at a demand candle or a fair value gap. Now, ideally, I want us to come lower. Now, if we come back down into this 4-hour zone right here, I refined it to a 1 hour, but if we come down all the way to the draw on liquidity, at that point, I'm going to be looking for the 4-hour internal structure, or I'm sorry, not the 4 hour, forgive me, the 15-minute internal structure to break bullish with displacement. Because at that point we're playing a continuation of the 4-hour trend, the daily draw on liquidity has been met, and then we're looking for that weekly imbalance overall target of 26,000. Now, alternative situation, let's just say there isn't really demand introduced in these areas and we start to come down. You probably come under, if you do break down under these lows of displacement, we're going to have a new draw on liquidity, which will be the imbalance created during that flush. We'll look for a retrace to a premium of that impulse move, and then we'll possibly start to see the sell side being targeted because they're leaving tons of these equal lows. I mean, it's just very, very nice target for sells at some point. Also one thing I've started to look at this potentially as is the three drive, right? Because we have one, two, three. Now, the only way we confirm that is if maybe we come up into this region up here and then we start to reverse with displacement, just like you see down here, right here. Pushed up, and then we saw that put that lower high in. It doesn't look like we broke above, but we did right there, right there. So it's one, two, three. And then you have that lower high right here. That's where you start to see. And again, how do we confirm this? Usually it's into a fair value gap or another POI, whatever. It doesn't have to be fair value gap. It can be a supply candle, it could be an institutional candle, it could be above an old high. The whole term point of interest, it's just an area that you're anticipating a potential reversal. That's it, or reaction. So then what do we see here? We went over this yesterday. Break structure to the downside. Could have taken the supply candle entry or fair value gap. Either way, you feasted off that. But this is what we'll be looking for. This kind of price action is what I'll be looking for in this massive imbalance we have down below, but on a higher time frame. So I hope that makes sense. I really want to like beat it into you guys' heads that what we're looking for, it's the same shit, just on different levels and different time frames. And we're looking for it to kind of mirror itself. And what we're looking for in the low time frames, we're looking for them in high time frame zones. And the reason we're looking on the low time frames is because the price is fractal, and if we see the lower time frame showing the desire to go higher in our likely reversal area, well then if that plays with our higher time frame bias, now we're starting to look where we position ourselves long, and that's really all it comes down to. So don't make it more complicated than that. On that note, I'm gonna hop off here. I appreciate you guys as always. Stay safe for NFP tomorrow. I might stream early tomorrow. I'll post if I'm going to. I might just that way we're live and kind of watching stuff as it happens. It'll be a good learning experience. Actually, I'll go ahead and say, yeah, I'm going to do that. We'll stream tomorrow. I won't stream while NFP's happening. That's going to be 8:30, but I'll stream at Equity Market Open tomorrow, so at 9:30. But yeah, as always, I appreciate you guys. What time are streams? So usually I do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, and then Thursday and Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. This week's been kind of weird because I just moved houses last week, and my daughter started school this week, so it's been kind of all over the place. But I post the schedules on Sundays in the Discord. I'll start posting them in on Twitter and stuff too for you guys. But yeah. Also, if this video helped, if you could like it. Also, if you're not subscribing, go ahead and subscribe. It helps me out. I'm really trying to grow this channel. So yeah, every little bit helps. I'll see you guys tomorrow for Equity Market Open. Until then, don't get licked. Stay safe. I'll see you guys.